guys, this is Stacy Rossetti, and I'm back with another badass woman real estate investor. Hi, Joanna. How are you doing?
Oh, fabulous, Stacy. Thanks for having me here.
Good. Thank you for hanging out with me today. So introduce yourself to everybody.
Well, my name is Jo Anna Wright. I'm the founder of Bottom Line Wealth. I'm known as the real estate wealth maven across the nation. I help women entrepreneurs, professionals, and realtors get started investing so that they can build the wealth and keep more of the money they make.
Oh, I love that. So you focus on helping women get into the investing world.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So how do you do that? What do you do?
So what I do is I started a group, Retire Early Through Real Estate Investing. This is so funny. And I'm like, it's what real estate's all about for me, right? Like, let's just build it, our own economy. Let's go, right? And in the questions, people were, I just don't even know how to get started. And it was over and over again that I heard this. And I'm like, okay, there's a need out there that really people are just stuck. They've been waiting, 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years, and they're not getting into real estate. And that's just not okay with me. So I said, okay, well, I need to put together a training that helps people understand how it works for them, because you see so many times these, guys out there flashing their money and chicks in bikinis and Ferraris and whatever. And that's not what it's about for me. It's about time freedom. It's about, building my wealth in real estate so that I can follow my passions and be with my family. So, and I know it's that way for a lot of women. They're not trying to get the flashy cars, or maybe you are, but it's just a different world,
So now that you're helping all these women investors, you're the women entrepreneurs getting into investment, what do you say, what do you see as kind of a trend for women that you're working with, and kind of how they transition, or how do you get them to transition?
So the whole point is giving them that confidence, giving them that map to know how to retire, get their life back. And what keeps them stuck is because there's so much information out there, and where do I start? And do I have to start with wholesale? Do I have to, I can't afford buy and hold. I can't afford this or that,
Yes.
all those things.
So the mindset.
All the mindset pieces, right? And so once I can clear away all that clutter, in the mindset, then they're open to so many possibilities. And I have students closing on property right now because there was, probably 3 factors that she didn't realize. And she's been able to, gung ho with it because nobody told her, right? So you can get all these DIY courses, you can Google stuff, you can read books. I don't teach what you can Google, right?
Yeah.
So there's a certain thing, of so how is the seller, and, what is their story, and how can you service them? Servant leadership is number 1 for me. And it doesn't just happen in my home, in my sphere. It happens, in my business, and carries down to my students, that, they carry into sellers. You have to have empathy for the sellers. Mm-hmm. You don't have to get pulled into their story. Just have empathy, be a human being, because they really need a human being to hear them.
Yes.
And it makes a world of difference. Even though Joe Schmo down the street offered more money, they want to work with you because you're being human with them. And that's made a huge difference in my students in speaking with sellers, not being afraid to pick up the phone, because it could weigh about 1,000 pounds. And being able to just say, hey, how can I help you? What's going on? And tell me more, and that's how the deal gets put together. Because, that's another thing that happens. I go in different forums and they're like, I can't find deals. And it's because deals aren't found, they're created.
Yes, that's awesome. I love that. So let's go back real fast. A couple of things. You have a couple of great points. Number 1, I feel like everybody is always talking about mindset. That's the thing. Everybody just throws an hour webinar into all their presentations about mindset. How do you really, honestly, as a coach, and especially in the real estate investing world and talking to women, how do you kind of work with women and get their mindset right? That's just, it's just so I have an idea.
Oh, absolutely. So it's to the individual. And so I learn how you learn, right? like you need to see something or write something down or hear something. It's how you learn. And then that's how I get to your brain, if you will, so that you can absorb more of, there's another way. You know, it's not just what is in a book. It's not just what was in this, presentation. It's according to, like, it's your creativity, and we're natural creators, right? It's that creativity juice that I get going for you.
Mhm.
And a lot of times that's been shut off by the time you're 9 years old, right? That's been shut off. You've been smacked, say, don't do this, don't do that, don't say this. And you have to be a certain way. And so as adults, we're like, I'm in this box and I have to be a certain way. And once that box is busted open, basically, and you're free to be you, a human being, because we're all our own special individual people.
Yes.
That gets that creative juice going. And then they're more likely to be a human being to the seller. Because what makes people afraid when they pick up the phone is they're trying to be somebody else. They don't want to get it wrong. They don't want to mess up, or they don't know what to say, or, but when your juices, if you will, as it keeps coming to me, and, being so juicy, releasing,
Juicy real estate investing.
Right. Juicy real estate investing. That's a good company name. I love it. But being able to tap into that, because they each learn differently.
Yes.
And yeah, that's where it's at. That's not something you can read in a book. That's not something you can YouTube, because it's not interactive. So the person telling you how to do it, it may not work for you. So I figure out what does work for the human and that's in front of me. And this is what my son says: you make hard things look easy.
Well, that's what you're supposed to do, right?
Right. I mean, that's what coaches do. I make the hard stuff, I make it simple for my students to learn.
I love that so much too. And you're absolutely right. I think mindset, exactly what you said, mindset equals empathy. Right. So once you really understand truly the mindset, like what's going on in your mind, you can really kind of connect with whoever you're talking to. I mean, it doesn't even if seller or not seller, right? And you become empathetic with whatever their needs are. I mean, that's essentially I think that's what real estate investing is. Like I said, what is your need right now, and how can I really solve that? And if you don't have your mind right, then essentially you can't really do that. I mean, it's hard to come up with those solutions.
It's hard to serve.
Yeah, hard to serve, exactly. And I love that. To be of service really means get your mindset right so that you can serve those people.
Absolutely. And I do have some people that come to me, and I'm going to say men in particular, just because it just boils down that way. Not to be sexist in any way, shape, or form, but men tend to be very transactional. It's all about the numbers for them. They're very transactional. And even though real estate is all about the numbers, and it's a great fit for men, and it's been, they've been the leader in real estate investing for years and years and years, there's many badass women in real estate, as you're saying, that because they bring heart to the game, that they were able to get the deal, not because they got a lower number, but because the seller connected with them.
Yes.
Right? So it's not always about numbers, and, investors leave lots of deals on the table because, it didn't fit my numbers. Well, you didn't even get to know the seller. You didn't even care, about their situation. And if you had, trust you me, because I've done plenty of transactions where the original point of me going to them was not the closing. It ended up being something completely different, but I got the deal.
Yes. Right? I think this is so true. And I think women have a superpower that they should be utilizing. And what we need to do as coaches is find that inside them. And that is essentially like being able to connect and being empathetic. Now, I know men can do this as well too, right? But because I do this with the storage facility owners. I mean, they're all pretty much every storage facility owner that I ever talked to is an older man. And I mean, and essentially for me to talk to them, it's all about tell me your story. How can I relate to all of the experiences that you've had? And like I just sat down with one storage facility owner this past weekend, and we sat for like an hour, and I was like, okay, so tell me everything about yourself. Like, tell me your problems. And he was just like, I'm just so tired of this. I eventually what came out was like, I'm just so tired of it. I don't feel like doing it anymore, and it took an hour for him to say that and to do that. But I think we as women, we can definitely pull out stuff from sellers that
Absolutely.
superpowers with. Yes. I love that.
Their first reason for selling is usually the first thing that comes out of their mouth to tell you why they're selling is usually not the reason.
Yes.
You got to go about 6-7 layers deep,
and also
that real why,
and even getting that number down lower, because he wanted me to buy that thing for 300,000. And I was like, after an hour of talking, I said, I really feel like that's 275. No. That's that first reaction. No. And then I said, well, let me just explain to you that like, it's really worth $150,000, but I feel okay with paying 275. And this is why. And you could just see kind of this, like, you could see his brain turning. Yeah. Whereas like, in their mind, they had that number, just like you said, it's all about that number. And then after you kind of talk to them and coax them a little bit, they're like, okay, well, maybe I'll do 275. It's okay.
It's basically just educating them,
maybe educating them, yeah.
And this is the number they needed according to their story. But when you educate them about the market, they're like, wow, okay, I guess I should take 275.
Yeah. And you just have to be able to take the time to do that.
Yeah. And it's not,
it's like, no.
They just blast out lowball numbers. They send out 100 offers a day. They get that one. I'm like, well, to me, that's a waste of time, to be sending out that much trash, if you will, because that's what it ends up being, is trashed offers, because nobody's going to accept them because they're so low. Yeah. And, it works sometimes. I totally agree. But I get more deals because I care about the person.
And and as I said, and you're listening to them, and you're being empathetic with them, and then you're creating that deal. I mean, you're creating that structure. That's what I said, exactly like what you said. Like, you have to create those deals, because when I talked to him, he was flat on, I only want this much. And after an hour of really talking to him, he was like, okay, maybe we could do something different. And that's what you got to do with deals, I think.
This is how I got this power. Yeah, this is how I got this commercial building that I'm standing in right now. That's empty.
Tell me about this one.
This one was seller financed. She had no idea. She had never bought real estate before in her life. This was a deli and market, and she bought it 2 years prior to me buying it. And she just said, I can't do this anymore. She had never been an entrepreneur before. She was 3 hours away from her family. It just wasn't for her. She thought this was her retirement plan. So she whacked her whole 401k and put it into this building. And definitely not a good, way to do it. Yeah. So it was an all cash deal. So everything was paid off, and it worked for her for that moment. But again, this is what happens every year or two. People are like, this is just not my bag. And that happens in storage units and commercial buildings all over the place, apartment buildings. They're like, oh my God, I can't do this. And she was trying to sell it for top dollar and was not getting it. It sat here for a while. And I had originally approached her. So out where I'm at, I couldn't get traditional financing on this because of where it was at in a more rural area.
And there's no income.
Right. And there's no income coming in. It's vacant. Right. And the only way I can get traditional is if I'm owner occupying something, which there's an apartment upstairs, 4-bedroom apartment.
Cool. Awesome.
So like, this is my only way, and if you want to sell this thing, this is truly my only way, even though I always make that offer all the time anyways. It's part of my 3-action letter. But, and she didn't understand how it worked. And it was a matter of getting to her story of, what was important to her, her family. She wanted to be back with her family. She didn't want to have to worry about this place anymore. And when I took that worry off of her head and said, don't worry about doing this, that, this, or that, I will handle it. I will take care of everything.
Yeah.
And she was just like, I really needed this release. And And then she didn't understand completely the money process of it. And I go, hey, listen, here's how it works. If I mess up, you get the whole thing back and everything that I fixed. So
Exactly.
she's like,
That's part about seller financing.
yeah, yeah. She's like, okay, I get it now. And so she went for it finally. And this is what I got. And we have that. We renovated completely the upstairs, a brand new everything. And we have
And
tenants.
now you're renting that out.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And now you're working on the like the lower level now, or what's going on? Okay.
Yeah. Now we're working on the lower
What
level.
are you going to do down there?
So we're making it a pizza deli and a smaller market than what it was. We're just going to have a small portion of the place be for like, because there's a lot of campsites out this way. And so people like, you know, need eggs, bacon, basic stuff. And then for as far as food is concerned, and then like some camping stuff, you know, like steaks, you know, for your tent.
Where is it at? What area are you at?
This is Northeast Pennsylvania.
Oh, cool. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, it's over by Ricketts Glen State Park. So it's a well-renowned area and people come here from all over. So yeah, I'm like, why not? Let's do this.
So are you going to manage it yourself, or are you just going to rent it out to somebody that does it?
Oh gosh, no, I'm
Okay,
going to have somebody else do it.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so basically you have the space, you know that it's like some sort of a market or something like this. And so you're saying, okay, like, let me just fix it up and then we'll find somebody to come in, move, and just rent it out and they'll manage it.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. I like it. So is this your first commercial deal, or do you do a lot of commercial deals?
This is actually my second. I've always spent a lot of my time in single family and a couple of like low unit apartment buildings, not like, you know, anything big in the big commercial world.
Yeah, just like small multifamily or something.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. Awesome. Yeah. Okay, good. All right. So what are your plans for next year? Like with all the changes and stuff, what are you thinking?
So online's really worked for me to get to more people, and I was trying to do it prior to COVID, if you will. And people were just like, no, I need somebody here, right here by my side. And, you know, as far as coaching was concerned, and then also reaching more people. So I already invest nationwide. And, you know, the students that I have refer other people in their area saying, well, then Joanna could probably help you with your real estate challenge. And so that's been helpful too. But also it's, for me, COVID has pushed everybody online. So it's normal now to talk online to people instead of being right there. They're like, hey, you going to walk by the property? I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm in Pennsylvania and you're in Atlanta. So
yes.
do I have boots on the ground? Absolutely. You know, like I don't not ever get to see the building, but it's a system, you know, being able to go to wherever I want throughout the nation to buy and sell property, and always being able to connect and have boots on the ground to help and service. And I don't have to fly out there. I don't have to be right there. So for me, COVID has really pushed people to being okay with being online. So it's made it a whole lot easier for me.
I love it.
You know, to do transactions online.
So you're doing deals online, you're negotiating online. This is exactly what I'm doing. We do I call it virtual negotiations, or virtual offers is what we do now, where it's like every offer that we send out, we try to send out an email with like a little video as well too. And it's like,
oh, that's good.
Yeah, like, hey, this is Stacy. I just want to let you know, like, we're sending an offer out right, you know, to you now. And here's what the offer is about. And especially you said you do like 3 offers in your offer letter or whatever it is, right? We do the same thing. We do several different offers. So I say, okay, so offer 1 is this is my cash offer. This is if you want to close like immediately, I can do this. But I also have 2 other offers if you're interested. And I'll just go through and like explain everything. So this is something I think that maybe you can implement as well too. I call it virtual offers.
I love it.
I just started doing that like now, and it's just like for all my storage facilities.
Nice.
People are totally digging the virtual thing now. So I'm taking advantage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Okay, good. Any other final tips? Anything else that you want to mention to any women or men that are watching this podcast?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, just get started. So the fastest way to get somewhere is to start. And I can't tell you again how many times I've heard people go, it's been a year, it's been 6, it's been 10 years I've been wanting to get into real estate, and life will always, always get in the way. You have to make it happen.
I love it. So you're talking about, let's just take some action, especially for 21. Let's take some action. And actually, if you can, you know, get started as soon as possible, and you're just laying the foundations down and you're on your own journey.
Yeah.
Right. So just get going. I love it. I love it so much. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
Absolutely. I loved being here.
Yes. Okay. All right. And we will see everybody else at the next video. Take care.